Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to another CryptoManiacs podcast. I'm going to start it now, Task.
I see what you did there, John. I
It,
see
it,
what you did
it
there.
took a little second for me to register, and I went right into Hive instead of Crypto. I guess we're still the CryptoManiacs podcast for the time being. How you doing, Task? We have a guest here. I don't. Should we introduce him or just keep talking and just
Well, you ask a question and you don't wait for the answer.
Sorry.
What the heck
How
kind
are
of
you doing,
people are these?
Task?
No,
Sorry.
I don't want to answer now. You're being a bastard. I'm mad at you and Blaine anyway
Why?
because out of the last like 16 hours, I've probably spent 10 of it viewing. Have
Sorry.
you viewed yet, Raymond?
Have I viewed what? Oh, the thing. No, I haven't yet.
Oh my God! What the hell are you doing?
I love it.
I know.
The
Can you guys send it to me in a link? And I've been dying to try this out. To be honest, I've just been too busy recently. But send it to me because I think that would be really good. Because one thing Hive hugely lacks is a good content discovery system. And I've been itching to give this a try, trust me. And I'm not just saying that because I am a reader and purveyor of blogs.
Purveyor of blogs.
Yeah.
I like it. Dude, that's a Scrabble word.
Yeah.
So Raymond Speaks from Brofun is here and the Man Cave and one of our favorite guests on the show. I think this is appearance 4 or 5. I've lost track. Task, do you remember how many times you've been?
I don't know what I had for lunch yesterday, so I've just been viewing, so that's all I know right now.
Well, you could take pictures of your lunch and view it. Yes,
some people did. That showed up on my feed. I don't know where I got lunch pictures. I looked for the tag, and it's like there's no like lunch pics tab, and if there was, I certainly didn't click on it. But oh well. That's where you have to feed the AI and the machine learning. Use the dislike and like.
Dislike and like, yes. It's not voting. Very important to remember. So Raymond's here for his 4th appearance. Isn't
he here to talk about views?
No, he's been a busy little beaver. He
wrote a whole white paper.
That's how I was just about to mention his white paper. So Raymond, this is you got to like really understand when I say this means a lot, okay? I printed your white paper out. I've done this very few times in my life. I think I've printed out the Nexo white paper. I've printed out the old Steam one, and the Hive one.
Wow.
And now, so Raymond, what he's really saying is you've reached the level of an infographic because that's what John has printed out most of his life.
Dude, I haven't laminated it. I laminate the infographics. I just printed out the white paper, Raymond. So you're here, man, and you're here to talk about what this white paper is about. So maybe a rundown of what brought you to it, and we're gonna talk Legion, but let's hear from you, man. Like what brought you to it, and the goals of it, et cetera, and dive into it.
So what brought me to it, right, is twofold. One is throughout this year and last year, I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, I missed out on Bro. There's not enough Bro in the market. I really missed out in getting into this one." So I wanted to create a coin where basically everyone could get in, and also the other one was there's only 69,000 Bro on the market. Now, anyone in my community would know I made a lot of money over the last bull run, and I wanted to expand, but I couldn't because I couldn't expand because I only had 69,000 Bro. So this is a problem that I've came, and the solution that I've came is twofold. Is getting more people in who feel that they're missed out on Bro, and also giving us space to build apps and games on the Hive blockchain from the bro. I wanted to build, and I'm not too worried about buy-ins, because at the end of the day, even if I'm the one that ends up owning most of my coin, I'm happy with that. That's fine. I'm not too bothered about that. But that is why I decided to come up with that. Do you want to hear why what we decided to go next with it, or did you just want to find the reasons?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
So we got together, right? We said, like, okay, we want to expand, because my head needs to expand as well as my token. I want my name out there a bit more. So we wanted to build, and obviously, as I said a moment ago, was we came to the conclusion of token. And what we found is I had a lot of experience with Bro and growing Bro. So what we did is we looked at the Bro fund over the space of 2 years. And obviously, because it was my first token, there was a lot of bad things I did with it. And there was a lot of really good things that I learned from it as well. So what we did with Legion is we took all the good things that we learned from Bro and from being in the Hive community. Like, there's projects out there that have done good things, and I thought, I'll take a bit from that, and I'll take a bit from that, and I'll take a bit from that. We dropped all the things that didn't essentially work for the Bro Fund, and we dropped them, and then we put it all in our Legion. And so for the first few months, we're looking at sustainability as just getting a solid backing for Legion, so we can go for it. Because like I found a lot of token developers have this bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. They go out there and they want to build something, but then before they can build, their token drops immensely in value, and they haven't got enough. That they really haven't got the funds to do what they wanted to do. So with Legion, we're making it sustainable first, and then we're going ahead. We're going ahead to the building stage after that. So, and we thought this is prime time to release a token now, where everything is down. I mean, if we're not at the bottom now, we're nearly at the bottom. So this is like prime time for everybody to get in and just have fun.
So was this is so this was confusing for me. I should have read.
It was confusing for a lot. It's fine.
Dude, I'm confused. I wake up in the morning, I'm confused. I don't even know where I am. But was this airdropped to Bro, or how is that?
No. So I put 800,000 on the market, and at one Hive, that one Hive a piece, right? Now again, the reason's twofold. I really don't think we'll sell 800,000 in a year. So it's over the space of a year. But I dropped that much so that basically, anyone who wanted to can get in. And I could also advertise to the wider community as well. So like not exactly Hive, but other places. Because the problem that we faced with Bro is when I started making money, I thought, well, I want to put some of my own money in buying advertisements for Bro. And then I thought, well, I can't, because people are going to come to the market and there's no liquidity there. There's just no tokens to buy. People are going to see that and their eyes are going to glaze over and go somewhere else. So I wanted somewhere where there's, I could start advertising. There's loads of tokens. There's lots of liquidity. If they're like, oh, I don't like this idea, then they could sell out. So that was my.
So there was no airdrop.
Like sorry.
No, sorry, dude. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I got mixed up there. Yes, Bro Fund holders are getting an airdrop as well. So if you own one Bro, you will get 2 Legion. So it's every Bro to 2 Legion, and that will be airdropped to you over the space of a year. So it's basically 1 Bro equals 2 Legion divided by 365. So you get that over the space of a year, basically. Nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, the model. I mean, the over the year airdrop model. I think that we saw that with like Splinterlands, and they're redoing it with GLX now.
I
And
love that idea. That's
right?
why I did that. Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
I
yeah,
love that
because
idea.
it keeps people engaged. I think it keeps
Yeah.
people like paying attention. And I
Yeah.
mean, look, it's I'm not the biggest soccer guy in the world. Football, sorry, I am watching World Cup though. But that project to me is just like kind of like a okay, cool, but it's keeping me engaged because like you're doing, it's for the year. So I think
Yeah.
that's brilliant. You keep it going and you keep people into it.
And also, what I also did is the airdrop is going to cost a certain amount of Legion. So the way I worked out the airdrop is I said, right, what could I afford to personally buy back if everybody in the community hates this token, what can I afford to personally buy back? So I've pretty much got the sell wall covered for buybacks because I want more in total. I want to buy Legion. I want to be a big holder in Legion. So
this is an income token similar to Bro. Is that how you're
no, it's a utility token. It's a utility
okay.
token, which will have growth metrics. So basically, I mean, we plan to build on Legion. However, we want to get the tokenomics and being liquid. We don't want to be a liquid. We don't want to be like have everybody selling. We want to be fully liquid before we start building, if that makes sense. Fully sustainable. Like Bro, I never have to worry about Bro dropping because I've got enough funds that back Bro for me to just solve the problem immediately. And that's the same. I want to be the same with Legion before we even look at building on utility, because I want to have basically, right, in a nutshell, I want to be able to cost the building on Legion through the profits that we make from the token, essentially. So we've always got a backing, and I'm always paying out the profits rather than because I really don't like paying for building out liquid funds, because once it's gone, it's gone. I found that one out.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22, and I've stated my view very clearly. I think what happens is, and we've seen this repeatedly in cryptocurrency and especially on Hive, people focus on tokenomics. And I mean, we even see it, we were talking about views before. And even in the last 12 hours, I mean, people are talking about the tokenomics and when this, when that, instead of focusing on the build and process. And in fact, during the show last night, I mean, Blaine jumped in and was very emphatic. This is the point we're at. This is the point in development we're at. This is where we're going. Either Blaine or John said we have big plans for this. But right now, it's beta. It's working out the bugs. It's figuring out errors, finding out what doesn't go right, and it's training the machine learning engine. Tokenomics come later. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to focus upon that. And the point I'm getting to is, for years, I've been watching projects monkey around with their tokenomics, work on their tokenomics, adjust their tokenomics, yet I don't see them taking any steps to work on their business, to apply basic business skills to their project. They end up thinking the tokenomics solves everything, and it doesn't.
No.
And, you know, CTP, and this is no slight against them, because it's very difficult in the beginning to like map out tokenomics and get it right. So there's going to be adaptations and things of that nature because you have too many tokens, too few tokens, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, most of these tokens, in my opinion, outside the stable coins, reflect one thing and one thing only: the value of the project. Period.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reflection on the value of the project. Now, the markets will go up, markets will go down, so there's always that dynamic. But the more value you're bringing to the table, and this is why I'm very upfront and open, saying anybody who's doubting CTP, look at views and tell me, write up a post, I dare you, of how this does not bring more value to CTP. Now, whether the market will react and the CTP token goes up or down, I have no idea. But this brings more value to CTP than was there 18 hours ago because of the simple fact that this application is now on the market, albeit in beta, and brings a lot to the table, a lot of potential. You yourself said it. You think that there's been no content discovery tools on Hive, or very few, up to this point. And I would agree with that statement. I think that's why there's so much potential here. So being in this, I'll use the term Web 3.0 world, it gets very interesting when we talk about sustainability, when realistically the most sustainable aspect to any of this, whether you're looking at Leo Finance, whether you're looking at CTP, whether you're looking at Bro, whether you're looking at Legion, whether you're looking at any of this, Splinterlands, is what does it bring to the table? What does the project bring to the table? And Splinterlands, is probably the epitome, to varying degrees, bringing a lot of value to the table. John mentioned the GLX. Well, we're not quite sure what that brings to the table. Yeah, people are saying because of the airdrop, but we don't really know the value. We presume there's value because we know the success of the project team and the development team, and they're tied to MLS. They got a partnership of some type with MLS. That brings value to the table, so people can speculate and say, okay, here we are. But I see far too much, well, it's all about the token and the tokenomics. And it's like, and this leads into my question. You say building. What are the plans to build on this new platform that you're tokenizing and laying out? What is going to be built?
Are you talking about what am I going to build on Legion?
On Legion, yes.
Right. So we did have, I can't be too open about that, but we did have, we had a whole idea about building a DEX for Bro, which you could stake your Legion. But then we realized, we had big talks with Marky and all sorts. And we realized that it was becoming a race to the bottom because not only us would be doing that, but, I think Flowey's looking at that as well with the cartel, and I know Gerber's building on that. So it's almost like everybody's rushing to outcompete each other. So we thought we'd go in a different direction. At the moment, right, we don't fully know our capabilities. So we're sort of building a small, as I said in the white paper, we're building a small game at the moment. It's not much. It's just basically like a retro arcade style game, which will take Legion, which will take Bro, which will take Cine as payment, and then from there we'll know our capabilities. And we've also got we've got Bala on our web development team, who he's big in where I don't want to diss Bala. What's that one that the one with the oh god, it was last year, the sold packs. Do you remember that the game that came around?
They sold what? What did they sell?
Mulled Ice packs. Do you remember that? It's coming out soon.
What packs?
The Mulled Ice packs. I forget the name. God almighty. Poor Bala.
I'm sure I'll remember if I see it.
But... Okay, because anyway, I remember that. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we'll...
Oh, are you talking CyberX?
No, not CyberX. No.
Oh,
okay. It is... It was like...
Cass got really excited there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking CyberX?
I'll just shut up, right? But
well, that's just the only game I know of coming out other than Ragnarok. But Ragnarok, I don't think has sold anything. I don't know of any other games coming out soon. Doesn't mean that there's not. I'm not familiar with them.
So we're looking at games and apps, but first we want to know our capabilities first. We got a whole dev team that works with us now. It's not huge, but there's about 3 developers that work with us. Front end developers, we got 2 full stacks, and we've also got one that manages developers, so like a developer manager type thing. So we want to look at our capabilities. Another thing is the Cine front end is done. It's not released yet, but it's finally done. and we've realized very harshly that a front end doesn't do jack. It's not, I mean, it's great and that, but you need to, like, obviously, like CTP is doing, you need to build things around the community. So we're looking in ways to go of movie streaming and things like that. Well, obviously not quite movie streaming because of legal stuff, but we're looking at streaming. That's the way we're going in that. But we do have the development to take it forward. I can't say too much. We are building it and we are testing our boundaries. But as I say, first I'd like to get a bit of sustainability first, since I'm asking for, well, I'm not asking, but since it's like a big market capped coin, I want people to be able to sell out as well as buy in, because things happen, and then people get really shitty sometimes when they can't sell out. So I want to be able to sort that first.
Well, I think with Cine TV, and that's really where I what I was just talking about, I think it really encapsulates what I was saying, because I look at Cine TV and I say, okay, here's some of the potential, and a new front end would be terrific, simply because obviously the existing front ends are just blogging. But you and I had this discussion many moons ago, actually, when we started talking about this, and since I've started building the last 4 or 5 months Leo Glossary. And one of the things that we used as a model in our discussions was IMDb and stuff like that. And you have a decentralized database at your fingertips in Hive. And so really, I think through the Cine TV front end, the value is you could literally build an IMDb about all these movies, about all these TV shows, about all these actors and actresses, and then of course do the Wikipedia type thing where you're interlinking among them all. So you get all these internal links for Cine TV. But most importantly, it all of a sudden makes Cine TV, in addition to everything else that you're looking at doing, it makes it a reference center. It makes it a resource. Because if all of a sudden I want to go in and I want to look at the 1988 or 89 version of Batman the movie, all of a sudden I can see who the actors are: Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, who was in it, when was the release date, how much did it take in, and all this information about it. And it's right there. And I know when you start to build on something like that and you have that integrated, because you look at an IMDb, they don't really build on top of what they have. They have this database and that's it. But you have the blogging. Then you all of a sudden add in maybe something like you're talking some type of streaming viewing service, whatever you have in the plans, other works. And all of this ties in. And then you start to get search engine rankings where I go in and I type in Batman, or I type in, Tom Cruise. And all of a sudden, Cine TV shows up in the front page of the search engines. Like, now you're just driving that traffic. And the value there, I believe, ultimately could be enormous.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to drive everyone to. I mean, we've got the plan is twofold. I get all this twofold stuff. The plan is twofold, right? Is get people on the Cine platform, blogging and writing about it. That's where they'll earn a Cine. Because with Cine, I didn't have any buy walls. There still isn't any buy walls. It's pure community owned. I dropped everything onto the community, and I haven't minted any tokens. And anything that I've got in my pocket, I've bought for myself. I haven't minted myself free tokens or anything like that. But so people, what they'll do is they'll use the Cine, and that's where the Cine will come from. But obviously, we all know that Cine needs to go somewhere, or mount and grow pressure on the market. So we're now going to try and create an ecosystem after that. And like you say, I listened to what you said about that IMDb search engine. I'm trying to steer everyone that way. However, I think there's going to be a lot. I mean, you will not believe how expectation versus reality I had when I started Cine. I mean, I started Cine and I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be easy. We're going to create a front end, and so it's like a year later, and lots of tearing my hair out afterwards. We've got something finished. It's MVP, but we've got something finished. So like I had to learn a hell of a lot about that.
Well,
So,
and you know, that's where absolutely you just described what any project team that does development knows. And you know, we only have to go and bring Blaine into this conversation. He'll tell you all the nightmares that he goes through, or Leo finance developers. And you know, then you have people like yourself and Cal who aren't developers and have to deal with developers, which is always another problem. But what you have, and what's happening with Leo Glossary, from my understanding, is this is something that I started building, and there's a couple other people now who are involved in it. And, you know, we don't take any rewards. There's no benefit individually for Gadrian, myself, and another person's going to start helping out here with Ragnarok terms. But what it does is it gets it onto the blockchain. It gets it under one heading. And now, as you mentioned, front end being redesigned, now as Leo Finance is rewriting the front end, one of the things is they're going to integrate Leo Finance right into the website because it's all on the blockchain. So now it's just a matter of integrating this into their website and pulling all this data under Leo Glossary up. And so it'd be the same thing with you, is to set up a couple accounts and start putting this data on the blockchain. And ultimately, as more of these movies or TV shows or actors pages, if you want, for lack of a better word, are on there, then you can start the pull request and design the front end to pull. And also another thing is, if there are well-written, terrific articles, like, you know, the idea behind Cine is somebody could do their review of Batman. So let's say somebody does that and you have a Batman page, all of a sudden down the bottom, you could link to that review in the post itself. And that also gives you an internal link, but it also adds more value to the page, because here's a related, and you click on that link and it's like, here's this wonderful write-up about, you know, how Jack Nicholson was excellent, Michael Keaton was miscast, Michelle Pfeiffer, or whoever was it Michelle Pfeiffer? No, Kim Basinger was terrific, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, whatever people write about.
It was Michelle Pfeiffer, wasn't it?
Was it Basinger or Pfeiffer?
Basinger.
Pfeiffer.
Kim Basinger was
okay,
Vicky
okay.
Vale. Yeah. But
Vale?
it's funny. It's funny. Yeah.
He's Pfeiffer.
No, she was Catwoman.
Ah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dude, this guy's referencing Batman movie from like '89. I'm sitting there thinking he's talking about the new one, you know, that just came out. He's talking about the one in '89. I love
now, John, if
love
you're going to start that shit, you're going to give me flashbacks to our interview with Belimo and him calling us like museum pieces or whatever.
Right. Yeah, he didn't believe. Yeah, he's like, there's stuff before Facebook. I'm like, yeah, MySpace, Friendster. He's like, what's that? He's young.
Man.
He's like, this is a walk down memory lane, or not
What
memory
age
lane,
is he?
but like archive history. It's like,
I think
Well,
he's he's early 30s or late 20s or something.
I used to have a MySpace account that played music. That's
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Ding, ding,
You remember
ding.
mp3.com? Like
yeah,
that was
the damn guy was born, I think, a year or two after I graduated college. So
yeah, it's great. Shows the dating. No, but dude, going back to what you were saying, Raymond, I think this is really important, and I think it's a reason why you and I kind of, you know, hit it off right away. You and I are most definitely not the developers.
no.
Most definitely not the most techie guys in the world. But what's needed in blockchain and all of this Web3 stuff that everyone, the buzzword, is the entrepreneurial spirit.
I've been saying that for a long time, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to rise to the table and start doing it. And
right,
that's why I like you, because you're very much like me.
Well, you know,
and if I can interject here, I think, John, what you two are bringing up, that's what's going to be the most successful projects, is the ones that are headed up by the entrepreneurs. And that's not to say developers can't be entrepreneurs, because a lot of them are. And so there can be very successful projects, but it's their entrepreneurial hat that'll lead to the success, not their developer hat. You know, they might have the two skills, but that's John's right. Web3 requires entrepreneurs because these are the people who look at the market, find a void, look to fill it, and do it in a way that it can be utilized by the masses. Not where, like John and I talk about all the time, the ease of use or the lack thereof, where it's like, oh, look, there's this app here. And it's like, you need a PhD in in MS development to understand it.
Well, that's like you see the masses in Flitter now flocking to Mastodon, and I think, God, I tried Mastodon, and that stuff is bloody hard to use, you know. So I don't know.
Well,
yeah,
and Hive,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Hive's not easy. There's a lot of layers to it, and just by getting involved in cryptocurrency keys. I mean, it's a much different world than passwords and forget your password, click here. Keys, key security, all of that stuff, keychain. Right. It's a learning curve, but guess what? That's the price you have to pay for sovereignty and to be part of this.
So I'll just say now, apps like Essence are going to really popularize Hive, get the masses on here, because Essence is so easy to use. I was talking to my friend the other day, and they were like, "Oh, you seen this new project? By the way, it's called Hive. Look at this." I'm like, "Holy shit, man! I got a project on there," you know. So I'm just surprised as to how we're getting ourselves out there slowly.
Well, that's
and then, like I say, that's like CTP. We've got content discovery. And you're able to because one thing I hate about Hive and why I never read Hive much is because of the content discovery sucks. And, it's good for when someone directs you a post and you're like, oh, you've seen this, you might be interested in this. But mostly what I see in Hive, unless I'm voting it, is not what I'm actually interested in reading. But this solves that.
Unless you follow an author, and then even then, maybe half of what they write, you have no interest in.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you like, as I said the other day, you like their crypto stuff, but you don't like their basket weaving stuff. But they write 50-50 on their basket weaving.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I will, again, I'm a fanboy, I admit it, but that's one of the things with views. It's being phased in. It's an MVP, yes, but it is so stupid simple. You watch the little 4-minute video that John put up, you know how to use the application. Rather, it's limited right now, but you know how to use it. And here's a team that put together something stupid, simple to use. And it's very powerful, but it's simple. So anybody can use it. You can't get confused. The biggest thing that John and I just talked about before the show is voting, high voting versus, the app voting, which we're calling thumbs up, thumbs down, or something to that effect. That's the most confusing thing. And, that's what it takes to take off.
Well, I'm an old StumbleUpon user, so I know how that works.
So well, that's yeah.
How many users were there, John, for StumbleUpon?
Oh, they had millions. They had millions
of users, and right now I know of us three. I mean, it's like everybody else. Nobody used it.
Again, going back to the whole entrepreneurial thing, they had the technology down with the machine learning and the content discovery. What they didn't have was the business model, and that's where I think someone like Raymond gets. He understands that something like Legion has to have, if someone wants to get out, they can get out. So if that's there, now you have that foundation you can build.
That's exactly right, yes.
And that's what's needed. Instead of, and look, I'm the first to admit that this is behind me for a reason. This is the mission statement of CTP. We have a strategic plan. It's called Doing Things. That's from Herb Keller, the old CEO of Southwest Airlines. And the whole purpose of that is you're going to throw things against the wall. Not everything's going to stick. That's being an entrepreneur. We have flopped majorly on certain things in our journey. But you know what? That's not going to stop us tomorrow. So we're going to learn, just like you learn from Bro. You're going to learn, and you're going to keep growing. You're keeping growing, and that's the entrepreneurial spirit.
Well, I'll be the first to admit that there's some things that happened with Bro over the last 2 years that sucked badly. Really sucked, but it's all about getting yourself up, picking yourself off, dusting yourself off onto the next. You learn from that, and then you move on.
Well, I think we could say the same thing if we looked at the history of Apple,
Mm-hmm.
Tesla, Amazon. There were things about those companies where the CEOs or the main players were Bezos or Jobs and Musk that they will tell you sucked. And it didn't go as planned. And, you know, Musk isn't having a fun time, I don't think, with Twitter right now. He spent $44 billion to get himself into a hornet's nest. Now, he may end up pulling out of this. I believe he will. But he's not having an enjoyable time right now. But
you don't think? I think he's having a blast.
Well, he is kind of. I am convinced he has a masochistic streak to him. I don't think he's happy unless like half the world's just beating on his head. But you know, John, you talk about this with CTV, you bring it in here all the time. That's what entrepreneurial spirit is. That's what entrepreneurship is. You're not going to be right all the time. You're going to put stuff out there that you think is great in your mind. You build it, and it's an epic failure. Or there's the law of unintended consequence. A lot of shit arises, and it's like, oops, we didn't plan on that, but so be it. Now, what do? We got to take more action.
So I've been and following the new Twitter stuff really closely. I mean, I love what Musk has been doing. He's like went 2 feet first into that shit show, liberal crap house that it was, and just like went.
How do you really feel, Raymond?
Dude, I'm right along with them. I love it.
It's like,
I love it.
The thing is, right, is I am traditionally left. All the values that the left should espouse, I espouse.
Right.
But this left is not my left, right? But anyway, I love what he's done. And it's exciting because it's going to be exciting for Web3.
Yeah, did you hear? This left is not my left.
Well, it's the same with me. I totally agree with Raymond. I mean, it's completely warped. It's anyway, yeah.
It is. It's just like
Raymond, let me ask you a question. As an entrepreneur, okay, you don't deal in 44 billion, but you know Musk's history, and you know I don't care if you like him or hate him or like guy or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Do you think, from what you know about his plans with this, do you think he will be successful with Twitter, or you think this will all blow up in his face?
I think he'll be successful. I think from what he always has a game plan, right? So if you look at previous Twitter, it's like everything seemed to be a problem. Nothing got fixed, right? If you look at Elon Musk, right? So Apple and all the big tech companies are like chucking them from the App Store. The advertisers are stopping using them. So he's like, well, okay, that's fine. We can make everyone pay $8 and we'll make our own App Store and phone. So like he's always got a solution to the tyrannical whatever the hell that shit is. So I think he'll be successful. I really do. And I think most of us recognize that. Like, I think the people that support this are so small. It's like a small percentage, but they're just amplified immensely by the media to make it seem like they're all around us, but I doubt that they are. So I think when he releases things like the Tesla phone and all sorts, I think that will be so wildly successful. That
is that coming? Do you guys think? Do you guys think that's coming?
I think no one will literally use Google and Apple anymore. I think.
Well, just to answer that question, John, there's all types of video online about the Tesla phone going back a year or two, and most of those are probably just clickbait frauds. There is some validity to the idea that Musk did look into it and even commissioned somebody to do a prototype, but I wouldn't say that he's anywhere close. But then again, when you take some of the best engineers in the world and say, okay, guys, here's a shitload of money, go build this. And I mean, he can just call up Foxconn and say, would you guys build this for me? I need, 5 billion of them. Foxconn will say, shit, yeah, we know how to produce this.
So if you look at Twitter at the moment, Elon Musk essentially changed that from a hellhole for anyone to work there, because I bet you that environment was so toxic to work in there. If you didn't believe in the orthodoxy, the environment would be hell of a toxic and you'd be putting on but he's changed it from that to being a coder's dream. Yeah. So you think all the best coders in the world are going to be like really, really wanting to work at Twitter. I mean,
oh yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that 1,000%. I mean, Elon Musk, he got crushed for saying, well, basically, you know, you're not doing 40 and go home. So basically, he's putting out there, just like he did with Tesla, just like SpaceX. I want the people who are the best in the field out of the 7.5 billion people. I want the best of the best and those who are willing to work their ass off, A, for a cause, and B, they'll get richer beyond than they ever dreamed of, because he will pay, you know, not only in his salary, he may not even pay the best salary, but these people will benefit from the success of the platform through some type of private stock ownership, where they will end up with so much money if they become a part of it. But what I want to ask you, I believe, you know, and Elon Musk, I agree with you 1,000%. Elon Musk has a plan. In fact, he said where this plan comes from. He wrote it in 2000. You know, he had the idea of the Everything app when he was at PayPal, and he's going to implement that. And they call me Dan's picked up on that, and he's starting to call Hive the Everything Protocol. And maybe I'm just over the head with my fanboy, but I think ultimately it's going to come down to Elon and Twitter versus Hive, because we are really the only game in town, I believe, with Web3. We're the only ones truly decentralized. We're the only ones who have a decentralized infrastructure, decentralized token distribution. Nobody's really in control of this thing, you know, and that's all thanks to Justin's son. But my question to you is, am I over the top with this? And where do you see what you're working on falling in alignment with that, saying, I am going in here as an entrepreneur to bring a lot more to Hive to feed into this idea of Everything Protocol?
So as me, right, my main aim, I mean, I'll admit I have no idea how I'm going to do this at the moment, but we'll get there. My idea is to make everything that I'm creating completely decentralized and community owned. And I know through Hive that we can do that. However, implementing it and making it a case, I have no idea yet, but you know, we'll work towards that. That is my main goal, because I don't like, because like if the SEC ever come hunting on Hive, there's a lot of projects, including mine, probably including yours, John, that will get smacked with the old hammer of money grabbing. So I would like to move towards decentralization sooner than later, because I have no problems buying my own token. I'll buy myself the biggest share in my projects because I believe in what I'm doing. Essentially, I don't need an owner's drop or whatever it is. So
it's interesting you say that, because you know, going with that mentality, that's exactly what Blaine and I and Eliana feel like when you look at the index token, for example. We're the number 1, 2, and 3 holders of it. Not that we gifted a single one to us. We spent our own money on it because we believe in the project. Same with CTP. When I see people selling CTP, I go and buy it. I've never sold a single CTP token in my life. I just buy it because I believe in the project. So it's almost too. I don't know how you call that, because it's like someone will say, "Oh well, look, you know," and this is the best thing about blockchain. Oh, they're the number 1 token holders. They gifted all those tokens to themselves. Go look at the blockchain. No, we didn't. We didn't gift a single one. Just like Legion, just like Bro, you didn't gift a single. You bought them all. So this shows, I think, the power of, you said, of decentralization and being on a blockchain where it's completely transparent. That's why I think affiliate marketers hate doing anything on blockchain other than saying, hey, go buy this thing, because it's transparent. You can't hide. You can't say you're doing something and then the blockchain shows that you're not. And
you mean they're not making $86,667?
Yeah, make $8,000, $6,000 in a month. They made 86 cents.
Well, but John, what I will say, John, and I agree with you 1,000%, but what you have is and Dan and Starkers talk about this all the time, and it really is a minority mindset that you have, in the fact that you didn't put in a founder stake. You didn't give the founded team a large percentage. And that means you're giving up control immediately. And yes, you may have control because you went out and bought the tokens, and over the last 3 years, you went and bought most of the CTP that hit the market. But like you said, it's because you took your own money and you went and you bought it. Right. Just like you could have bought in Raymond's project or in any other project. The problem is I don't think most development teams have that mindset. And you see white papers and you see 20% allocated to the founding team or the founders.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And, it's like, okay, right off the bat, you guys are feel entitled. Unless, it's one thing to say 20% held for bounties and promotion and to incentivize certain things. Okay, that's a little different. But when you're giving it to the founders, when you're giving it to the developers and all this other stuff, and you're not doing it via an airdrop, that's why I love 3Speak. Dan and Starkers get the exact same percentage tokens as the rest of us because it's based on their Hive holdings as of that snapshot date. They have not given themselves one token. Now, they may have gone and bought more, but they did not give themselves any more than they were entitled to based upon the airdrop that everybody was involved in. And I think that's a key, John, to decentralization. And that's why CTP, you mentioned the SEC, Raymond. It's hard for CTP to get caught for selling an unregistered security if they're not selling anything. They're not selling.
We haven't sold a single one. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, not a single CTP token we've sold. No index we've sold. No, we didn't even sell any listeners. I mean, it's like we will buy things, we don't sell them. I
don't mean if you sell them on the open market out of your personal account, that's one thing. I'm talking as selling them as a
founder stake thing. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know that was the thing. Well, I ain't got anything then because I never sold it. If you look at Bro or Cine or I've sold virtually none of those tokens, so maybe I'm all right then.
Well, it depends. If you use the token to raise funds initially, and sold it into the open market, that's where the security comes in. As opposed to if you sell it out of your own personal account, that has nothing to do with the SEC. I mean, once it's in your personal wallet, you can sell it, and I mean, you're selling it in the open market. You're not using it to raise funds. You just somehow got this token either airdrop to you or purchase. So in the case of CTP, the CTP that's in Jolin's wallet, he purchased at one time. He can go out and sell it the same as he can do.
I even lost all my CTP. That's the funny thing, because when we moved from Steam over to Hive, it was the John G. Olson account was the one that was issuing it. And there was something that screwed up when we moved from Steam Engine to Hive Engine. I had like 50,000 CTP or something like that. They got wiped out. So I had to rebuild every single CTP I hold now on Hive. So I've done it twice.
Did no one sort that for you?
It was I forget. I'll have to go back. I'm sure Blaine will remind me of what happened. It wasn't like the fault of anything. It was just the way that the transfer happened. Like when we went from Steam Engine to Hive Engine, the issuing account couldn't bring it over or something. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just like I was just like, oh well, I got to start over. But I've literally purchased every single one twice. So anyone that says different, they can. Anyway, I'm not going to.
No, but I think this is a serious point of conversation for project teams to understand that the SEC. I mean, why did they go after Block One? They sold $4 billion worth of EOS into the market and the money went into Block One accounts. So now, obviously, they paid a $20 million fine. That's a pretty good trade-off. I mean, I'd do that every day, too, if I was in. But that's where the trouble comes in, and that's where the problem with decentralization starts, is you have – I mean, that's why Ethereum is in the quandary they suddenly are getting away from proof of mining, because now that they're proof of stake, they look at Joe Lubin's account, they look at Vitalik, they look at the Ethereum Foundation, and the SEC could sit there and say, listen, you guys have all of these tokens in your wallets that you were gifted and you're selling into the open market. That is a problem. And of course, the foundation itself is doing that, to pay bills or whatever they're doing. But that's where the SEC is saying, you're now a security. You're no longer a proof of work. And so that's where, if they ever come after Speak, they can't touch those guys, because all they'll say is, we didn't sell shit. We don't control it. The only tokens we personally got was as a result of the airdrop, which we gave to everybody. And we don't even have the overriding stake. This guy Freedom, who nobody knows who the hell it is, got most of it. If Freedom's
We're
claiming,
still trying to figure out.
Does anyone know who Freedom is?
Block Trades doesn't even know. Block Trades has his suspicions, but he doesn't know who it is.
But Block Trades thinks it's a BitShare. It's a developer from BitShares. He didn't mention if he had an idea of which developer. He just believes it's tied to that, because when it was created, it was some pretty technical stuff to start mining, and you had to be very mindful of what was going on and aware. But that's the point. So when you sit there, John, with CTP and say, we didn't give ourselves any tokens. We didn't gift ourselves. We didn't sell tokens in the open market to raise money for development or servers or anything. There's no way they can go after you, because it's like, well, we just bought them on the open market like everybody else.
Interestingly enough, I'm surprised that the Ethereum Foundation have escaped scrutiny for as long as they have. I mean, how did they even do that? Because
I think because they were proof of work, that didn't make the token a security. But now that they switched to proof of stake, suddenly all that stake that's in their hands is in control of the network, is in control of the operations. And that's where they're saying this stuff was put out there, and now it's all in these few wallets. You are the beneficiaries. I don't think they honestly win that, the SEC personally, but that's the claim that they are making, that these people have undue influence over, and basically the profits and the, it has to do with the realized gain. And basically what they're saying is the profitability of these Ethereum tokens is dependent upon a small group of people, the Ethereum Foundation, Joe Lubin, Vitalik, through their voting, through their creation, and all this other stuff. And they're in control of the network. Thus, there's a direct correlation between their influence and the potential profitability that people buying the token will get, as opposed to Hive, which says, okay, who's in control? The network, it's the top 20 consensus witnesses, and actually on a rotation basis, then one witness out of another 100 in there. Okay, who's involved in the code? Well, there's a bunch of different people involved in that. What adds value to this network? Well, there's a bunch of different apps that are built on top that no individual controls. So that's why with Hive, and of plus, how did all these tokens get out there? Oh, it was an airdrop. Were any of them sold? Nope. Was there any pre-mine? Nope. The pre-mine that was there from the airdrop actually got stuck in a DAO. Who's in control of the DAO? Nobody. See, so now you start to leaf through what the SEC looks at, and you can look at Hive, you can look at Ethereum and say, okay, Ethereum under proof of work, there's millions of miners all over the world running this thing. Okay, fine. But now you have 3 wallets that have like 40% or 50% of the tokens, or whatever the number is. That is where the problems arise. And that's why many of us are sitting here saying, when it comes to regulation, when it comes to attack, when it comes to the SEC, Hive can't be touched, because it's like, what are you going to go after?
The only way I could see Hive being touched is if the government eventually say, okay, we're banning anybody from accessing Hive. I think that's the only way to hurt Hive. By any government, America,
okay,
UK,
if the US says it, doesn't mean Canada says it.
VPN.
UK does it. Doesn't mean Venezuela does it. We know if the US says something, Russia and China will do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Russia's now looking at legalizing cryptocurrency and Bitcoin mining. Why? Because of what the West did. So, this is where everybody talks about the potential to ban all this stuff. And I'm like, that's going to entail getting every country in agreement, which they're not going to do.
Not going to do.
Iran and Russia and China are going to do the opposite of what the West says, just because the West says it, and probably vice versa. So, I think you might get this in pockets, but this is global in nature. So what the U.S. government says applies to me doesn't apply to you and John. And maybe Canada follows suit. Maybe the UK doesn't. Maybe the EU says something, and me in the United States, it doesn't matter. But guess what? If they all hit us all, doesn't mean Venezuela, doesn't mean Brazil, doesn't mean Mexico, doesn't mean the Philippines, doesn't mean Japan, doesn't mean any of these countries, Nigeria. Doesn't mean they're going to follow suit. So
that's true.
When we take a project like yours, getting back to that, and you say, okay, we're going to build, where do you see, and I know you don't want to reveal stuff too much, some of the plans, and that's fine. Where do you see some of the potential holes in Hive that you think builders should look at? Entrepreneurs,
where are the potential holes in Hive? I don't really see much holes in Hive. It's like Hive is one of the best places to build. I'd say the only downfall is it's very close. It's a very small and close-knit community. Like if I was wanting to raise millions, then probably Hive wouldn't be the best place to go at the moment. Maybe in the future, but not at the moment.
you hear that, John? We just had a 5-minute monologue about the SEC. Raymond wants to get sued by the SEC. What's the first thing he says? If you want to raise millions. See, I mean, why don't you just call Gensler up and say, hey, would you please sue my ass?
No, I know, but yeah.
What do you think?
Money, that's going to red flag you.
I'll flip that question and say, what do you think are some of the things that are needed on Hive that an entrepreneur could fill?
Or areas of focus. You mentioned gaming. I mean,
areas of focus. I guess one thing that's most needed, right? So Hive it's like apart from Bitcoin, is probably the most other decentralized thing out there. And because it's decentralized, everybody exists in their pockets. And even if you look at Hive, it's quite hard to find what's out there. I guess as an entrepreneur, because I like to know what's happening, it would be good to just condense that a little bit, just have people communicating better, project owners communicating better, whilst I call them Scooby gangs, where all the popular kids get together and share information, and then soon but before you know it, it's like we're in this gang, you're not in this gang. But what I mean is,
let's be honest, the man cave is where all the cool kids hang out. Right? Let's be brutally honest, because it's like you're not in the bro fun, really. You're not in bro, really.
Yes, I thought it was CTP.
Oh no, dude, come on. I work so hard to get people talking in CTP. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for sure.
I guess it would be good for the only thing I'm really Hive positive. Like I think it's ripe for building. It's ripe. The people on there are nice, and if you're not a nice person, you're forced to be nice because of the voting consensus. It's brilliant. I love it. It's like on the internet, right? Social boundaries don't work. Apart from on Hive, you're almost forced into submission on Hive, and I love that. But it would be nice to know more what's going on. Like I know if I don't remind myself to keep up on top of your guy. Like I was watching your podcast the other day when you were talking about on Monday your new content discovery tool. If I hadn't seen that, I'd have forgotten all about it. So it'd just be good for us sort of just to know what's more going on, because everybody exists in their pockets. It's really.
Well, I will say one thing that Hive does have. If there's something exciting, you end up seeing 1,000 articles about it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. That is true.
So, I agree with you. And this, I think, in my opinion, and maybe you guys will disagree with me. In my opinion, I think that's just a feature of decentralization. It's something we have to accept. Centralization, here's the plan, here's our roadmap, here's everything. In decentralization, like you said, you got project teams all over the place. We don't know what they're focused upon. We don't even know what project teams are out there because they're showing up and doing stuff. And it's like, okay, I didn't even know they existed because they didn't really promote it. And, you know, and I'm not saying that they should necessarily. Maybe they're just building and developing. You know, a lot of people did not know that this was coming from CTP. Yes, the CTP community did because hints were dropped and we talked about it on this show. But unless you really closely follow John or this show or CTP, this views probably was not on people's radar.
Oh,
but
dude,
it's been in the work for 4 years.
Oh yeah. Well, we had a sit down, like I was saying. Me and Blaine sat down with some development guys 4 years ago. It was like 2018, and we were talking to them, and they all said it was a stupid idea. So okay.
Yeah,
So.
I don't like when people say it's a stupid idea. I always think, yeah, they're obviously not wide thinking. If it doesn't work, we'll make it work.
Well, that's the entrepreneurial mindset that you have that I think is needed on this blockchain. I mentioned this the other day. I think it was with you, Task, about one of these early content creators on the blockchain. He made this post years ago, and I remember it so well because he said the blockchain needs three things. It needs the developers, absolutely. It needs the users. It needs the investors. Right? And what do you think the users can be? A user, an investor, and a developer can all be entrepreneurs. That's the common thing that brings everyone together, where I think that's what makes Hive so special when you have that mindset.
I think in the early days of Steam, I think I was always shouting for people with entrepreneurial spirits, but it's nice to see now because of Hive Engine and clicking tokens at the thing above, we're beginning to see them pop all over the place. I mean, there's a new token came out. I only saw it posted in the Man Cave today. Actually, it's a new token, a new project came out, and it's a sort of combination of the LOL Z token and beer token and another token, and I'm sort of in their Discord asking them questions at the moment. But they've got a whole new learning and development app coming out in the next, whoever knows. So it's like these things are happening all the time. And by entrepreneurs, and it's great to see. It's just like it's humongously ripe for the picking.
Well, one of the things Raymond, John, and I have been talking about is that just by being on Hive, you're in business. You are a business. You have a Hive account. That is a business because you earn rewards. No matter what you do, you are being compensated for certain things and activities that you are undertaking. And so taking that and going a little bit further, my question of late has been, okay, you are a business. What the hell are you building? And I don't have any development skills any more than you guys do. I couldn't build an app to save my life. I wouldn't even know where to begin to build an app. But you know what? I can post shit on the blockchain. I can come up with an idea of Leo Glossary. And in fact, I did an interview with CoinLogic, with Logical Dude. And I was talking to him about Leo Glossary. And in that stretch of a few minutes, I threw out probably 5 ideas. I threw out this in IMDb, but I threw out 4 or 5 other ideas that glossaries and that could be built on Hive, decentralized databases. And then ultimately other people could pick up on that and incorporate it. One of them was a glossary on geography. Well, you do a glossary on geography. Well, all of a sudden now a travel app or a travel blog could pick up on this and integrate it in. And all of a sudden, if somebody's looking at Madrid, all of a sudden here's a page that pops up with all this information on Madrid and all these hotels in Madrid or whatever the case may be. Sports talk. I mean, you have baseball reference, football reference, hockey reference with all these stats, all this stuff on Wayne Gretzky and all these players. You could put that up on there and integrate this in and make these places actually resource centers that other people want to incorporate because guess what? It's a decentralized database. I started Leo Glossary. I don't own Leo Glossary. Why? All the data is on the Hive blockchain. Anybody can tap into it. I have no control over the data whatsoever. And that's the value of this thing, that people can come in and it's like, do you have an idea? Go follow it. You know, you don't have to be a developer. Other people have taken what I've done with Leo Glossary, and I've seen posts where they start talking about stuff they could build, how they could build an app for Leo Glossary itself on iOS or on Android. Have at it. I mean, I can't build that app. I don't need to build that app. There's people who can. If somebody wants to take the data and build an app and put it on iOS, knock yourself out. Cool, great, do it. And that is the value of the Hive ecosystem, in my opinion, is we can take these things just like views. We start off with that. That's just reading data on the blockchain. It's reading blog posts the last 7 days. Eventually, it's going to open up and read every single blog post from the Genesis blog. Every single post from Genesis blog. Think about that. All 6-7 years of information that basically we only look at the last 2 days worth of information for the most part on Hive. That's all we read, is the most recent and the trending, and that's it. I mean, who even sees stuff that goes back 5, 6, 7 days? Very rarely, and let alone goes back 3 or 4 months. Now Views is bringing that information that's on the blockchain. It's decentralized. They built an app, and it's putting it out there and make that information useful. How come there's not 1,000 other people doing something? Okay, maybe you can't do it to the extent Blaine does. I couldn't do it. I couldn't even dream about doing it. But there's other things that all of us can do. You're doing it. John's doing it in his own way. Eliane is doing it in her own way. You know, the speak
his
guys.
New name is Skynet. That's how he's to be referenced from now on.
Who?
Right? Blaine is now known as Skynet. So or the Terminator. Either one.
Well, yeah, I did see that comment. It's like, well, is this going to start programming our minds? No, it just reads what you like and dislike, and based upon that, it's not doing anything, you meathead. But
Dude,
you know,
sorry, go ahead.
well, I mean, it's just, we need more people like you, Raymond. In fact, everybody needs to start thinking like you and John have been talking about, with this entrepreneurial mindset, saying, what can I build on Hive? And you guys prove you don't need to be developers. If you put it out there, I can attest, you will attract the developers. People say, hey, we can do this. And if it's on the blockchain, I can't stop you. Go knock yourself out.
That's a beautiful thing. And why, you know, something like Bro, like Legion, like Cine, like everything that Raymond, you've been doing has legs, because it's an idea and you went with it. And if more people got that, like, again, just like you said, Task, you don't need to be a developer. You don't need to be this superstar coder. You just need an idea, and you plug yourself into the community. Like, did you know all these developers when you got here, Raymond? No. How did you how?
They found me.
Right? And that's the whole thing. You just get out there and do things. And speaking of doing things, man, because don't want to take all your night up. I know it's very important. World Cup's going on. Are you cheering for any specific country, seeing that Scotland is not there? You don't care.
Abe. You ever heard of Abe before?
No.
What's anyone that? But England.
Anyone but England. Okay. Oh, that's funny. That's a good one. Anyone but
it's hysterical. I don't know about your view, John, being up in Canada, but it's like hysterical being in the United States and seeing the rest of the world go apeshit over the World Cup. And it's like, well, Brazil's favored again. When was the last time they weren't favored? And it's like, being in the United States, it's like, my question is, like, when was the last time the United States even played in the World
US
Cup?
Always has a decent squad. They're always in the knockout stage, like guaranteed almost every year.
I mean, it's like the interest here is like none. It's like, you got World Cup going on, and we're more interested about who Kanye pissed off. I mean, that's the American mindset. So I don't know what it is in Canada if it takes over. I mean, it's, you know,
people love it up here.
It's regular hockey season, so maybe it's like, okay, we can put hockey on the back burner for a couple months.
It's a changing demographic in Canada, though. Like I was saying,
you're getting a lot of Nigerians moving up there, so I think that makes a lot of sense.
My best friend, you know, best man at my wedding, he actually took his whole family to Qatar for the World Cup. He's got three boys.
Wow.
The oldest one's like 15 years old. All of them. They're from Toronto, which is a diehard Toronto Maple Leafs hockey town. No, they all play soccer. That's all they play. They don't care about basketball, football, hockey. All they care about is soccer. And it's big in Canada. It's really big. And we were actually in the World Cup. Hey, we got a goal.
To be honest, the America's growing in football. I mean, a couple of our good players are going over to America. Like you guys are snapping up our top tier players. That's new. That's new over the last 10 years. So, yeah. I mean, David Beckham went to America, and he went to America for a huge amount of money. Like it was
and he was washed up. So it's not.
Oh yeah, he was.
Prime David.
Yeah,
Beckham.
you never got.
The guy was like
you
33 or 34 years old.
You definitely didn't get prime David Beckham. That's true, but you still got David Beckham, which like. You know, he wouldn't have went to Bolton Wanderers or something like that. You know, that's for sure.
Yeah, we spent $300 million to get David Beckham, and we got his Spice Girl for free, I guess.
You could keep her. You could keep her.
Oh man, no disrespecting the Spice Girls.
That might be I don't know. That might be a fair trade because I think the Brits are a little pissed off at us about well, what's Prince Harry's wife's name? What's her name?
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle. I think the Brits are pissed off at us for that one. So, maybe a swap back. We'll give you your Spice Girl back, and you.
It's really interesting. I mean, I've no opinion on it. I don't get involved in. I'm not a royalist. Neither is any of my family. But there's a lot of royalists around a bit, and it's so interesting. But like everyone hates her. It's really like anti Meghan Markle sentiment around about England. It's really weird.
It's funny to me being over here. It's like I think politics are bullshit and a joke as it is. And then you so to really get upset about politics is one thing. Then you have the royal family, which that to me is just an even bigger level of absurdity because it's like,
pretty much.
What do they do? It's and I'm not against the monarchy. I understand the tradition and the respect and the latest queen or the last queen. I mean, she was really something, and now you got Charles the Clown. I mean, there's a step down. But it's just like to get upset about anything about the royal family. It's like
get upset about anything that doesn't like have to do with your life is just wasted energy, man.
That's true.
Yeah.
I get more upset about something that goes on Hive than like who the prime minister pissed off today. Like, I don't care. Anyways,
do you know who the prime minister is?
My prime minister or the British one?
Yours.
Ours is True Clown. Trudeau. Yeah.
Who does Britain have now? Because they had that one lady, but she lasts like 4 minutes.
The dude that looked like a robot, like he
Rishi Sunak, isn't it? Isn't it Rishi Sunak? I don't pay attention anymore either because like politics so disinterests me nowadays because it's just like they've infused it to every facet of our life. It's so boring. It's like I don't care. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's like you talk to people and all it is these days is everybody talks about politics on Facebook, online. It's like, Jesus Christ, are you people that void the depth that you've nothing else to talk about than politics?
Well, for the far right and the far left, at least in this country, it's like a religion. It's like I know people on the left who that's like all they have to live for. It's like, and every conversation steers right back to that. And there's people on the right who are the same way. And it's like they have nothing else to really discuss. They flip on the news and their favorite news channel, whatever political lean they have, which then just obviously reinforces what's going on and programming them even further. And it just like it gets to the point like, why don't you fucking do something? Go for a goddamn walk.
Yeah.
Go do something.
Well, I'd go for a walk, but it's minus 1,000 out right now. So
unless you're up in Canada where it's minus 1,000. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, John. It's like 80 degrees here today. I forget
I
that
know.
minor
Yeah,
oversight.
I used to think Scotland was bad, and then you just look at Canada and you're like,
No.
oh, okay, man, I ain't going there. No.
Well, and John's in the relatively southern part of Canada, aren't you? I mean, you start getting up like a couple hundred miles north, you get into the tundra. It's
the tundra's about a 4-hour drive north from me right now. So
that's about a couple hundred miles.
Well, that's not that far.
Yeah,
4-hour drive. That's not
I'm
that far.
west. Yeah, it's awful. I don't know why I live here. It's the free
How deep is
healthcare.
the snow at the moment?
Here we don't get a lot of snow because we're out in the prairies.
don't?
So it's
Okay.
just windy. It's windy and a little tiny bit of ice that stays perma frozen until like March or April.
And cold as
Oh,
shit
God.
till May.
It's awful. It's awful.
Well, John, just for you, because I know you're big into the law of attraction, visualization, and manifesting. I'll go take some pictures of the beach and I'll DM them to you, just so you have, pictures of the beach and warmth and people running around in shorts and a t-shirt or tank top, just so you can visualize warmth and warm yourself up.
Thank you.
And manifest it.
I'm manifesting.
Before we go, Raymond, what's next?
Yes, that's what I was going to end with. What's the future, man? What's the ticker for Legion so people can go pick up some on the market? And what's the game plan here for the next couple of months?
Ticker for Legion is LGN. It's a very slow game plan at the moment. Like I say, for the first 2 to 3 months, looking at sustainability before we do any development. Obviously, we'll be looking at our boundaries and our capabilities in that 3 months, but mainly we'll be looking at sustaining it. However, we will be going up every month. We'll go up, so like we'll nudge the sale up a bit. But also our buyback walls will go up a bit as well. So if you bought now, you'll probably be able to buy back for a profit if you need to sell out next month. That'll happen for the first 3 months. Then after that, hardcore development, and we'll be looking into utilities and a whole brand new economy for Bro or for Legion. But the way I've worked it is it should all tie in synonymously with each other. So yeah.
And what about the airdrops? When can people expect that? Is that
so? I've managed to get a hold of Bala, so that's scheduled for Thursday. So people will start receiving their Legion, and really don't feel guilty about.
Is it weekly? Like how is it working? Like you said, stretched out for a year. So
happens daily for a year.
Daily. Oh wow.
Is it a claim or is it just a drop?
No, just a drop. You'll get it. You'll wake up. You'll be like, "Oh yeah, Legion." And if you want to sell that,
is it based on Bro? Like the more Bro you get over the year, it's not a snapshot and then given out, or is it?
It's a daily snapshot. So if you own 1,000 Bro, own 1,000 Bro now, then you'll get equivalent to 1,000 Bro over a year. But if you sell that 1,000 Bro tomorrow, you get nothing.
Right. So if you keep adding to your Bro stake throughout the year, your daily airdrops will increase.
Yeah, exactly.
Very nice.
And also, if you want to sell out of Legion and make profit, by all means, don't feel guilty to, because the only way I could really buy, because like if I buy straight into the crowd sale, it would just be like me swapping tokens. So the only way I can realistically buy Legion is if I create a buy wall. So sell me some tokens. I just create that buy wall. I'll be happy to eat up those tokens completely. So yeah,
nice, dude. Love having you, man. You're definitely one of the good guys on this chain, man, and one of our favorite guests.
Thank you.
Come back in a couple months. Let us know how it's going.
Oh yeah. But in a couple of months, I'll know lots of things. Like I'll know about sustainability. I'll know our boundaries. I'll know what we'll be able to create. I'll have a path for us. It'll be
nice.
I'll have a lot more information by then.
Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Raymond Speaks of the Bro Fund and Legion. Have a good one. Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.